Hello everyone. Let's get started on project 2.2, making the amplifier. So after we finish step 2.2.1, laying out all our components, let's continue on to step 2.2.2, examining the wire harness. This will be the brains of our amplifier. This little circuit board will take our input, which comes from these wires, which are very clearly labeled here. Clearly and helpfully. And using this chip, we'll amplify it, and we can control how much here. And send it out through this wire to our speaker, where it says speaker. So we can spread these wires out, untangle them, make sure to read each of these labels: speaker, input, LED indicator, and then we can see this one has a battery connector, so we know it's for the power, for the 9-volt battery. Okay, so now that we have all our wires figured out, let's move on to step 2.2.3. For step 2.2.3, you need the wire labeled input and also an audio jack. So unfortunately I cannot find the audio jack, so I'll just pull up the picture from the last video about the kalimba, about how you should connect these two wires. After you found which wire you're going to work with and you've found your plugs, pause the video and solder the wires onto the connectors. Moving on to step 2.2.5, we're going to look for the wire that says LED indicator, and I'm just going to place that into our helping hands. And this one I'll actually be able to do with you because I have the LED right here. And we have the LED. And let's just double make sure that we have, wait, let's focus here, that we see the two leads for the LED. So we have one shorter one and one longer one. This is the shorter one, this is the longer one. It's very little difference, but it's there. And we gotta make sure that we notice which one is which, because it's the longer one. Actually, let me use red. So it's the longer lead, the longer wire, which is going to be soldered to the red wire. So the longer lead here will go to the red, okay? So this will also be an excellent time for me to show you how to use the wire stripper. Untwist the wires a little bit, and once you've figured out how much of the wire you want to strip, place it here. And I pinch and twist like that. I should try pulling out. It'll take a little bit of playing around. Just pinching and twisting. Okay, so I'm happy with that much wire. We started off with this tiny little nub, and you can choose how much to strip. You don't need a lot more, that should be enough. Okay, so I found a better method of stripping the wires, and I'll show you with this little bundle of wires from our soldering kit. So if you use either the lower part of these needle nose pliers, the green pliers we got you, or these blue snips, you can find where you want to cut, and then not all the way, since these are snips, they will cut through your wire, and you don't want to make it too short because there's no way to undo cuts. So what you do is you find the point at which you want to snip the insulation, and you just give it a gentle little squeeze. Go ahead and practice on this little bundle of wires, or the red one, whichever one takes your fancy, and simply give it a little pinch until you feel like something gave way, but there's a little more resistance. So you can push it, but then it starts to get a little hard. That means you got to the metal, and if you keep doing that, you can do a little twist. If you keep doing that, you can do a little twist, and boom, just like that, you've stripped your wire. And just like that, solder them together. Now let's put the iron back into its holster. Take out our LED and flip it around. And now it's time for the other lead. So let's bend the lead that connects to the black wire again a little bit away from the other one, and give the black wire a twist around the lead. Just like that. And again, let's grab our irons and our solder. Touch the components and then touch the solder. Now remember, we want to try heating up the components and then touching the solder. We don't want to touch the solder to the iron just to have it blob and fall off. We want to have it touch directly to the components, just like that. Okay, so after we're done soldering both joints and we can give them a little tug to make sure they don't pull out, let us take our snips and snip all of the excess little wires, and make sure you wear your safety glasses here. Again, if they're short, we can cover them. If they're long, we can grab them right before we snip them. Oh. We just don't want them flying around. Alright. And just like that, the LED is connected. A side note, after you snip your LED's leads, take a small piece of tape and wrap it around each lead, just to make sure that it doesn't touch anything on the inside that you don't want it to. And again, let's grab another small piece. And let's wrap it around both leads, just like that. And now we'll be sure that it doesn't touch anything that we don't want it to. Alright, let's move on to step 2.2.6. Now we'll be working with the speaker. So the speaker is inside this little cardboard container. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slide it out. Be careful not to let it hit the floor. We don't want to do that. And now that we have our speaker, we can put the cardboard away. And what we'll be connecting the speaker to is the speaker lead. Let's make sure we find the wire that is labeled speaker. And again, we'll be stripping the wires. Now the speaker is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to use two helping hands to hold it. We have these little tabs over here on the sides, so those will be good points to grab on. For the speaker, we're going to be soldering here, and it is clearly labeled with a minus and a plus for negative and positive. So we'll be taking the speaker wire that we previously stripped, and we will be soldering the red to the positive and the black to the negative. So on the little tabs which we'll be soldering to, there are holes. What you can do is take your little wire, thread it through the hole and make a little loop. Try and keep the wire together. I like to make a little loop and twist it so it doesn't go flying around, just like that. And we can do that with the red wire and the positive lead. So once we have the wires connected, we can get to soldering. You know the drill. Okay, with soldering the speaker, be careful because the speaker is a magnet and our soldering iron is magnetic, so it gets attracted. So try not to be close or else you'll get pulled towards it. Boom. You're golden. So moving on to step 2.2.7, you can grab your speaker out from the helping hands, you can place it down on the table, and you can grab your 9-volt battery, take it out of the wrapper, and connect it to the 9-volt battery connector. Hey, I hear a noise. So my volume works. That's a good sign. You'll be able to plug in your kalimba to check. So to plug it in, let's grab the adapter and the cable that we've included with your kits and open them up. Alright, so now when we have our cable and our adapter, we're going to take one end of the cable and plug it into the adapter. This adapter is what's going to go to the input side of your amplifier, so just plug it in. I unfortunately don't have the plug, but you'll be able to. And the other end of your wire will go into your kalimba. So simply flip it over and plug it in just like that. And test out if you can hear it any louder coming from the speaker.